All right, man.
Thanks.
Good morning.
Morning.
For COVID. It suppresses the viral replication, keeps it from getting cells, and basically it's like the virus is circulating.
A new CDC map shows the regions of the U.S. where COVID-19 cases are on the rise. 6.3% of COVID tests in Arkansas are coming back positive. A review published in Nature Medicine looks at the economics of using metformin. It notes long COVID has impacted more than 400 million people globally, costing $1 trillion a year. That suggests that more than half of those cases were preventable had metformin been administered. Audubon says the drug is inexpensive, and he wants patients to take a more proactive role in their health.
Doctors are just learning about it. There's nobody paying to get this information to physicians, which you're going to have to be the one as a patient to get this research to your doctor and to ask them, this is what doctors were doing.
The CDC has found American Indians and Alaska Natives are about 3.5 times more likely to experience long COVID. The likelihood for people who identify as Hispanic or Black is 2.5 times. I'm Freda Ross, Arkansas News Service. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
Who it is?
I remember it.
Where from?
Paris. In Normandy. In Mont Saint Michel.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, it's a beautiful Thursday morning here on the corner of 21st and Main Street. It's a little after 9 o'clock. You heard the music, so you know it's time for the workplace. Here exclusively on KABF 88.3 FM, Voice of the People Community Radio. I'm the host for the workplace, Toney Orr. And it's always my beautiful co-host is in studio, the Reverend Dr. Denise Danielle. Hey, Denise.
Good morning, Grand Rising humans.
Hey, I hope everybody is recovering from their holidays. Have you celebrated the holiday? I'm telling you, I'm finally getting my timing, back from my trip to the Netherlands and Germany. It took a minute. I think this is one of the longest times it took for me to readjust. But I'm glad I'm starting to get back into the feel of things, and it's just good to be back on the air with all of you. Just want to say thank you for all who gave during pledge drive. We're still getting pledges in, so we really appreciate your pledges and donations. And we just really thank you for all you do for KABF 88.3 FM and for just tuning in and showing up for the different things and the different activities we have. So you want to take a moment to greet the people, Denise?
Good morning, Grand Rising humans.
Okay. So we got some announcements to get to real quick. And then we're going to get on with this show. So, Walking on Sunshine, Alzheimer's Arkansas is celebrating 40 years. Registration for walk teams and sponsorship now open. North Little Rock Holiday Hustle at McCain Mall is going to be December 7th, 2024. Registration at 8:30 a.m. Event starting at 9 o'clock a.m. Awards given out to the team with most participants present, biggest fundraiser, and best banner in your category. For more information, contact Alzheimer's of Arkansas, 201 Markham Center Drive here in Little Rock, Arkansas, 72205, or you can call 501-224-0021, or you can go to www.alzark.org/walk. That's www.alzark.org/walk. Woodruff Community Garden Winter Work Day. This will take place Saturday, December 7th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. 3200 West 7th Street here in Little Rock. Join us for a day of gardening, connection, and community service. Roll up your sleeves to plant, harvest, and care for Woodruff Community Garden. All skills levels welcome. Lunch provided. And this is sponsored by the Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance and Tito's. Arvest. This is from Arvest. Attention Arvest customers, protect your debit card like never before with Arvest fraud alerts. Here's how it works. If suspicious activity is detected, Arvest sends you a text alert. Reply yes to confirm the transaction or no if it's fraudulent. It's fast, easy, and keeps your card safe. Learn more about this powerful protection at arvest.com/fraud/alerts. That's arvest.com/fraud-alerts. Arvest fraud alerts, keeping you one step ahead of fraud. And for those of you who don't have fraud alert with your bank, it is something that is, I would encourage you to get. It is great. When I get those text messages, and sometimes I get a phone call from my bank saying, hey, or my credit card, hey, we noticed a suspicious transaction. When I was in Amsterdam, I forgot to notify one of my cards that I would be out the country. And the minute I used it, it was denied. And it sent me a text message said, hey, we suspect fraud. And so I had to send a message that, yes, this is me. And it freed my card back up. And so it's good to have. Arkansas Claims Commission. The Arkansas State Claims Commission will hold hearings on December 13th, 2024, beginning at 9 a.m. The hearing will take place via Zoom. To obtain Zoom invitation, please contact Sabrina Heist at 501-682-1619. That's 501-682-1619. If there are any questions, please contact the Commission's office at that same number, 501-682-1619. Medicaid Town Hall. Let your voice be heard. Co-hosted by Arkansas Community Organizations and Arkansas Advocates for Children and Families. Please join us for a public forum on the Medicaid and its importance for Arkansas and families. Your story matters and what we want to hear. Your story matters and we want to hear it. This will take place Thursday, December 12th, 2024, 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. It will take place at the Arkansas Education Association, 1500 West 4th Street, Suite 200 in Little Rock, Arkansas, 72201. It is sponsored by, once again, Arkansas Advocates for Children and Families and Arkansas Community Organization. So that is, those are our announcements for today. So today, I want to have a discussion about healthcare. And I want to give you a little background as we go forward to to this main topic of something that happened yesterday and maybe some reasons of why this happened. So I want to talk about United Healthcare. United Healthcare is one of the largest healthcare providers in the world. In fact, it is the 9th largest company in the world, the 9th largest company in the world, and it's the largest insurance company by revenue. And United Healthcare has been in the news for about 20 years now in a lot of their practices. In fact, United Healthcare was where I actually was one of the things that actually got me the job that I have. And in 2009, I was working for a company, an organization called Work in America. And that's when we were pushing for Obamacare. And United Healthcare was one of the companies we had targeted because of some of the issues that they were practices that they were doing when it comes to some of their customers, denying pre-existing conditions and different things like that. And it was during that rally, during that protest. The protest took place on Capitol Avenue, right there where Fox 16 News is and where our Senators Cotton and Bozeman have their offices at. And during that protest, I was not the organizer of action, but like I said, a group that I was with, we were part of it. And during that protest, the organizer who was leading everything, voice actually went out. And I was just standing there. So she handed me the bullhorn and I took over the chants, but I also talked about how United Healthcare, what a bad company it was, how they were actually in the business of really harming more people than they were saving through their healthcare practices. And so that was one of the things that when I got hired for this job, the person who hired me remembered that, and that helped facilitate me getting this job. And so when I saw the paper yesterday, watching the news, about the CEO, Brian Thompson, of United Healthcare, he was gunned down yesterday in New York City on his way to the investor meeting for United Healthcare Group. He was shot by an unknown assailant. And one of the things that in questioning his wife, she mentioned that he had been getting threats quite, for a while. And she said she suggested it may be about healthcare coverage. And it made me think about this book that I read and this movie. The book was called The Rainmaker, and it's by a novelist named John Grisham. John Grisham is a graduate of the University of Mississippi, and he has written numerous books. And his books are pretty much centered around race and discrimination. Some of the books that he's written that became movies, A Time to Kill, that starred Samuel L. Jackson, The Firm, that starred Tom Cruise, The Chamber, which is another book that he wrote that became a movie. And as I said, he wrote book Rainmaker. Rainmaker was a book about a young man who had contracted, or he developed leukemia. And the healthcare company that they filed a claim against would not honor his claim. And he needed a bone marrow transplant, but the company had a policy that it would be too expensive to give that claim. So they kept finding different reasons to deny the claim. And in the end, they went to court. They did win their claim. The young man died, They won the claim, and then the insurance company, went to, they filed for bankruptcy. So that money was never paid out. But when I heard Mr. Thompson's wife talk about insurance coverage, and I thought about that movie, and I thought about the issues of United Healthcare. United Healthcare also, when I started doing contracts for our different facilities and entities that we represent, where we represent workers around 4 states, United Healthcare is the number one. There are other healthcare groups that represent that we deal with, but United Healthcare by far is the number one that we have to deal with, because we negotiate healthcare benefits into these contracts. And every year, United Healthcare raises the premiums every year. And one of the things the companies talk about is that because these healthcare premiums are going up, it makes the premium that the employees have to pay go up. And one of the things that's always discussed is you have workers, you have employees who have that insurance who constantly say United Healthcare will deny claims. And that's one of the reasons why they try to get out of that contract, get out of United Healthcare being their representative for group insurance. One of the things that United Healthcare, as I was doing my research, it denies claims at a higher rate than any other healthcare company, whether it's private or whether it's group that does businesses. In the past 4 years, their denial rate has went from 8.7% to 22.7% over the last 4 years. It's not a coincidence that over the last 4 years, you have been dealing with COVID, you have been dealing with other healthcare issues. Overall, they have a 32% denial rate for any coverage. And looking at some of the reviews, some of the reviews were stating that, that United Healthcare would tell their customers that, oh yeah, go to this doctor, or if they get referred to a specialist, they will do it and then turn around and deny the claim. And so now you have to go through this process of trying to get these claims done. And so when I heard and I saw in the news of this happening, it made me think, when you, as a person, you are paying your premium, you are told you can you are covered for these different issues, these different health-related issues. You go to the doctor, and next thing you know, you get a bill, and you say, "Hold up, my healthcare provider said that this will be, my insurance said this will be taken care of," and the hospital, the doctor said, "No, it was denied. It was denied. It was denied," and it becomes a frustrating issue. Then all of a sudden you start getting to collections because the healthcare person, whoever did whichever healthcare you went to, they don't care that the claim was denied. What they care about is they want their money. And so you end up going into medical debt, you end up going into hospital debt, you end up going into this debt. And then when you start looking at these different companies that you work for, where your insurance premium keeps going up, but the coverage you get becomes suspect. And so I was talking to somebody this morning, and I was, one of my members who works for a facility that has United Healthcare. And the question I was asking said, how many times have you been denied? And she says that I have to go through, not only do I get denied on like 90% of the claims I send in, but then I have to go through an appeals process. I have to go through this whole process just to get these claims paid for. And she said that, it becomes time consuming, it becomes tiresome, it creates anxiety. She said, but I don't stop. I keep going. And that's the problem to me with what's going on with our insurance. The whole the complexities of insurance is that you have to keep going, you have to keep going, you have to keep going when you shouldn't have to, because you are paying for a service that you're not getting. One of the things that I don't want to say frightens me, but has me concerned with this new administration coming in, what's going to happen, especially, the insurance companies are covered under the Federal Trade Commission. So what's going to happen if these entities go away, these agencies go away? It seems like insurance companies are having free reign in what they want to do and what they don't want to do. Because they gutted, and one thing Obamacare did, the Affordable Care Act, it put caps on certain things. It kind of restricted the way insurance companies operate. But the more they have gutted it, the more these insurance companies have just started to really exploit those loopholes. And make no mistake about it, Mr. Thompson, who was on his way to an investor meeting for United Healthcare. So now, when I hear that, it's all, we already know it's about the money, because insurance companies want to keep more in their pocket than they want to pay out. And one of the places, like I said, with these facilities that we have contracts with, if you have a company or you have a facility that have more women than men, you're gonna pay more. By and large, women have more health issues than men. And so when you start putting all that in, when you start looking at all that, you start to wonder what happened. Because I don't believe, and one of the things that when they did the crime scene, one of the things they found that was written on one of the bullet cases was deny, defend, and dispose. Deny, defend, and dispose. So, of course, this it could have been a random thing. It could have been just somebody just doing it. But the way it played out, you could see this was premeditated. This was planned. This was like, hey, I've been watching you. And even when his wife, Mr. Thompson's wife, suggested it could be about coverage, can you just imagine that you're going through a health issue? Or I read in one review this morning where this woman said she had a baby, and the hospital would not release her until she had a follow-up appointment with a doctor. She called United Healthcare. They said, yes, go to this doctor. And when she went to this doctor, for the follow-up, she ended up getting a bill from United Healthcare. And United Healthcare denied the claim after they told her, yes, go to this doctor. So can you just imagine someone going through something like that, someone going through that anxiety, that pressure, and then deciding, you know what, I just can't take it no more. So, in this discussion this morning, I know I've talked about a lot, but in this discussion, because one thing that United Healthcare does is they are the largest Medicare supplement insurance provider. The largest Medicare supplement insurance provider. And I already know that people complain about their denials when it comes to Medicare. So in this discussion this morning, just want to talk about not only has, how this affects people who work, but what's going to happen going forward. It's already seems that it's the insurance companies are just, just all over the place in what they're doing. But when you start to see what happened yesterday, where someone has gotten to that point where I just can't take it anymore, does this look like it's going to be a sign of things to come? Are people going to get so fed up with being taken advantage of? Are people going to get so fed up with all the red tape they have to go through for the simple, basic necessity of healthcare? And so, what do y'all think? Give us a call. What do y'all think? What do you think, Denise?
Well, you've said a lot, so I have a lot to say. So I just want to start right here and challenge the notion that you said that women have more health issues than men. That is not a fact. What happens is that women actually tend to live longer than men do, and men generally have issues that cause premature death at higher rates than do women. So I want to make sure that I debunk that women have more health issues than men. What really happens is that women have a tendency to tend their bodies better than men do, because men are still living under the plague of toxic masculinity, where they don't feel like they have to go to the doctor. Whenever something happens, they want to man up about it, or they don't want to talk about it, or they don't want to share what's really happening with their bodies for whatever reason. But many of those reasons is they don't want to seem like they are weak because they are hurting. They don't want to admit that they are in pain. And so they don't tend their bodies. And so because they don't tend their bodies, we don't have the record and we don't have the data that shows that they are experiencing the health issues that are really happening in their bodies. So I want to make sure that we debunk that myth that women have more health issues than men, because that is not true. Women tend to live longer because we pay more attention to our bodies than do men. So I want to start there. But I also want to talk about this man who killed the CEO. You said he's a CEO?
Yeah.
I feel like, I know that we fight the wrong people. When we're talking about all of these people who are dealing with United Healthcare, they are fighting United Healthcare. They're having to jump through all of these hoops to try to get United Healthcare to deal with their claims. To me, that's the wrong fight. The fight is with your health, with your workplace. That you say that your workplace, this is not good health coverage for us, and so we want you to get a different provider, healthcare provider. There are so many that you can choose from, and so from the statistics that you read about how United Healthcare is not the best provider of healthcare for people that you say as an employer that you are concerned about your employees, then why would you use United Healthcare? Choose somebody else. So I feel like instead of fighting the healthcare provider, you should fight your workplace so that they can get a different provider so that you wouldn't have these problems. And so when this man, he kills the CEO, your problem is not going to change. United Healthcare is not going to be, the system of United Healthcare that continues to deny claims is not going to be affected by the death of this CEO. They're just going to get a different CEO that perpetuates the same system that you're already in. So we've got to learn how to fight more strategically.
Caller, you're there.
Good morning, Sister Denise, Brother Toney.
Hey, Ziggy.
In addition to someone maybe being disgruntled about the healthcare denials, several of the CEOs at this organization were scheduled to testify about insider trading. And that brings to mind that corporate America, different industries, healthcare industries, even the airline industries, several people were getting ready to testify or whistleblow against a big airline, and they came up dead. Now here's a man that was on his way for a meeting, and several of the higher-ups in his organization were scheduled to testify for insider trading, being investigated for it, and then he comes up dead. It's a very top of the iceberg that we see. We don't know what's beneath him or who's put on the screen. We just know that not only does his particular company been able to talk in months.
I'm glad you said that because he did something that he hasn't taught us to do. I'm just gonna put it on out there. I didn't know you had to do what he just did in order for you to get on the air. So you are right. We have not been able to hear anybody that's calling because I've been using the system the way it was taught to me to use, and now they're doing something different. So I will learn from this today, and I will do better moving forward.
And that's something that how the media hasn't said too much about all of these executives who are being investigated for insider trading, which is really costing the folks who have this insurance a lot of money. This insider trading is like folks scheming off millions and millions of dollars that supposedly are supposed to go to those who are planning health care coverage for. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay. And so I can, I can get with what Ezekiel said, what Max said about that. But I also I go back to what was found in the Bullet case and deny, defend, the polls. And so it may be it may be a concerted assassination, Mr. Thompson, based on this information about insider trading. But I also believe that it could be based on the threats that he was receiving and the fact that their record of denying people health care. And so, when you start to look at this, and even with what you said, Denise, about the companies, and one of the reasons that some of these entities stick with United Healthcare is because a lot of people don't understand that when you are in a business and you are paying an important, the biggest chunk of the insurance for your employees as a business, you're paying the biggest chunk. The employees may be paying 20% of the total premium, but that company is paying 80%. And when you start to look at the spreadsheets, because these insurance companies, we negotiate with several insurance companies on the behalf of the employees. The employees will pick, at the end of the day, the employees pick the insurance company that they want to go with. But the company will tell them, if you go with this one, we're going to have to raise the premiums. If you go with this one, you may have lower premiums, but you're going to have a higher deductible. And what happens is when they look at the previous year and they look at the claims against whatever insurance company, they look at those claims. And if those claims are really high and you switch insurance companies, or you stay with the same insurance company, they're going to look and say, because you have these claims. And going back to something that you said, Denise, about debunking the issue of women having more health issues than men. It wasn't about whether women live longer than men. There are certain things within a woman's body. There are certain things with a woman's body that men don't have.
And there's certain things within a man's body that women don't have.
Men don't get pregnant. And so men don't get pregnant. And one of the biggest things when we are doing these...
And women don't have prostates. So what are you talking about?
So one of the biggest things that when we are doing these insurance negotiations is what insurance companies look at is that how many women that are working there, file claims for pregnancy that these insurance companies have to pay off.
That doesn't mean we have more health issues. We have more issues related to our reproductive health. Yes, but that doesn't mean we have more. You said we have more health issues. That's a health issue. It is a health issue, but men don't have less health issues. They just have different health issues. So just because a woman can get pregnant, that's a different kind of health issue, but that doesn't mean it's more.
Yeah, but that.
Okay, I don't want to argue about that. Let me get this right here. So here's what Deidre says. Deidre says, why do we need an intermediary in order to pay a doctor? it is a form of usury which used to be illegal. Why do we even need an intermediary in order to pay a doctor? It is a form of usury which used to be illegal. She also says that, Toney, that is not correct about men versus women and health needs. And then she goes on to say men do not go to the doctor as much as women, which is what I said. So the question though, so she's the question that she has is, why do we even need an intermediary when we're talking about healthcare insurance? Because this to me is just another way to feed into the system of capitalism. And if you say that an employer, if as an employer, your goal is to make sure that you are creating an environment where your employee can live at the height of, you're concerned about their quality of health, at the height of the quality of health for their body, so that they can be most productive in the workplace, why would you choose to go with a healthcare provider that you know is going to cause stress to the body of that employee by having to deal with all of this? And so when you say, well, they're looking at the claims, they're looking at how much money they have to pay, then that's about capitalism. That's not about care. That's not about quality of care. And it certainly isn't about whether or not a woman gets pregnant.
Yeah, it all boils down to this one word, capitalism. It's all about the money. It's, and when it comes to healthcare, you can make more money with people, whether they're the potential of people being sick, the potential of people having healthcare issues, the potential of people having health problems. You can make more money off of that. And if you can find a way of not paying out these claims, not paying that money out, and let's face it, I do agree with you, Deidre, is that why do you need it? Why do you need it? And the thing that will solve all of this, that is being pushed back harder than ever now, is the fact that this country needs a single payer health insurance. It needs to have universal health for all.
Yeah, but this country also needs to stop operating off of a sick care model. This country, going back to something that Ezekiel said about United Healthcare is not the only one who raises premiums on an annual basis.
Sure.
They are not the only ones who do that. That is just the norm. And that's the norm across the board for not just healthcare, but that's about homeowners insurance. It's about all of these kinds of insurances. And so the way that we are operating in America in particular is that the sicker you are, the more money they make. So they're not concerned about you being well. They are only concerned about you being sick. And this conversation just continues to perpetuate what it means to make sure that we are getting you to the doctor more and more and more and more and more, so that you are paying this money, because that's all they're concerned about. At the end of the day, all things considered, is how much money can we make off you being sick. So if we're gonna, again, how do you fight strategically? Then we need to fight the model that we are using in this country.
And that's why it's so important when you start talking about, when we talk about your vote doesn't matter, when people say your vote doesn't matter, they're going to do what they want to do. Until we get people who are willing, people looked at Bernie Sanders, they looked at Alexander Cortez Ocasio, did I say it?
Alexandra. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so they both were talking, hey, you need a universal health system, because the one thing, and this is what I love about traveling to other countries and seeing that healthcare model, they understand if you have universal health, a single payer healthcare where everybody receives healthcare, you can't have a bunch of sick people in your country. So you're going to change your practices. You're going to put some policies in to change practices. You're going to make sure that the food that's being that's on the market the food is better. You're going to make sure that there's less sugar in a lot of things. You're going to make sure there's more natural things. You're going to make sure you're doing everything. You're going to make sure that people get the time off they need for rest and relaxation. You're going to make sure that pharmaceutical companies aren't flooding your communities with over prescribing drugs. So you're going to do these things. But going back to something that we both agree, if your only concern as a country is how much money we at the that capitalists can put in their pocket, then all this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We want to make money off of you, and we don't care the cost of what it's going to do to you. And that's the thing that we have to be able to fight for and fight against. How do we get people in office who's going to make the best policies for us, for our healthcare, for our communities, for everything, because it's all tied in. When you talk about, if you got bad water, if you have lead and asbestos in certain places, if you're not breathing clean air, if you're living on land that's toxic, all that produces all these health issues. And when you start looking at people who are trying to address these issues, a lot of times they will say yes, or in the moment, but they don't do anything about it. And then you have people who lobby, for these companies to continue to do what they do.
So here's what Deidre says. We operate on the capitalistic framework of if. If you pay me what I want you to pay, I'll pay for something if it happens, if I want to. And that's if I can profit from it. And so
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that.
So this capitalistic framework of if is what she is putting forth. And then when you put that with, when you couple that with this system of sexism, which is what I was relating to earlier, when you say that women, because we get pregnant, then we got more issues. And so now since we have more issues, you got to pay more money. When you begin to interlock all of these systems of domination, oppression, and power that are rooted in the need for more money, which is rooted in capitalism, then that's when we begin to have these problems. And that's when we begin to continue to operate on myths and lies. And we've got to begin to start telling the truth about what's really happening. This is not about whether or not I'm a woman or a man. This is about capitalism at its best. And the healthcare system is no different from any other system that is plaguing us because they want to make money off of our bodies. And so this is another comment to you from Deidre, Toney. Toney, politics is, if you vote for me, I will see if we can get what you want. If you vote for me, I will see if we can get what you want. I don't know if I agree with that, because I don't see who it is that's trying to get us what we want. I see people who have an agenda and they're hoping that you vote for them so that they can move forward their agenda. But when you ask me what I want, and I don't see that happening. But that's what she said it to you, Toney, so I shouldn't have even responded now that I think about it. She said, politics is, if you vote for me, I will see if we can get what you want.
I think that in this country, it's the way the systems have been set up and have been engineered to control. Because when you go other places, and I know a lot of people, will say, well, I don't care about other places, I just care about here. But going other places, going to other countries gives me a glimpse of something that can be, some ideas that can be and can work here, when they are allowed to work. When you start to look at it, there's a party for everybody in other countries. In most industrialized countries, there's a party for everybody. You got a socialist party, you got a communist party, you got a green party, you got a labor party, you got a conservative party, you got a right party. And even though you have all these parties that people vote for, when they come together as a group, even though they're fighting for the rights of the people who put them in that position, all of them have to come together to say, you know what, at the end of the day, we have to do what's best for the society as a whole. The one thing that it's two things I saw in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. It just kind of, it just fascinated me. I didn't see not one homeless person. I didn't see not one homeless person. I saw a couple of people, there was a couple of times I saw some people walking down the street with a cup, asking for donations. But I didn't see anybody, I didn't have to step over anybody. I didn't see anybody just laying around. I didn't see anybody with a tent. It was nothing. The only time, that was in Germany. So there was some resistors who had some tents out, in this area. But another thing that I saw is that even there was this unwritten rule. You can walk up to a crosswalk, and if a car saw you coming, that car is going to stop. Even when the car had the right of way to go, most of the time it would stop, and it would wait on you to walk across the street, even though the red hand would say, no, don't walk. They will stop. So that lets me know that this is a place that's more concerned about the society, about the society and the community than other things.
But you're not the only one who's been to Amsterdam, right? You're not the only one who's visited the Netherlands. So when we're talking about the people in this country who are making these policies, they've been to other countries. As a matter of fact, many of them have homes in other countries, and many of them put their money in banks in other countries. And so they know that it is possible to live differently. The problem with America is that we are not willing to put society first. We are not willing to put the quality of life first. We are not willing to make sure that we are caring for bodies. We are not willing to make sure that we are caring for the mental health of our citizens. We're not willing to do that. So it's not that you got to go to another country to see what's possible. We have to turn a key into the hearts and minds and voting rights of folks to say, look, not only can we do differently, we demand that we're going to do differently, and we need to fight for that.
I think that was my point. I think that was my point. Talking about other countries, you're right. They know what works in other countries.
I'm saying we know what works.
Yeah.
You're going to Amsterdam is not the only way that you can know what works in other countries. And so the people, you're saying, well, I go to Amsterdam and so I travel, so I see these things. And the people who are making policies here, they go to those places too. And so you're not the only one that has this idea of what it could be. They have the same idea. The people who are making policy have the same understanding of what's happening in these countries, but they don't do it because they don't want to.
They don't want to. And I think that's the whole point that we've been talking about throughout the show, is that they don't want to because it affects their bottom line. It affects their pocket. It affects their money. It affects that. It affects what the power structure that they have. Because if I can keep money and I can stay in power and I can use this system that is detrimental to everybody else, then that's what I'm going to do. And that's what has to change. That's the thing that has to be torn down. Is this system that is being used to the betterment of a few, but to the detriment of the whole? And so that's where we have to work at. And that's what we have to look at. And that's what we have to work to dismantle. And so call back. I'm sorry I missed your call. And those are the things that when we start to talk about, a better society, a more equal and call you there.
Wonderful say that. The healthcare system, and you mentioned Obamacare, so that's why I'm bringing this up. Members of the military and the National Guard, if they were, they're supposed to have health care. They do have health care. But if their wives were pregnant before they were deployed, they wouldn't have health care for their wives because the insurance industry said that that's a pre-existing condition. So you have these different laws and things that are set up that are really going to protect the folks who really need the care. And it wasn't until Obamacare was passed in legislation not be able to participate in the armed services, which is a step in the face to the women who have fought in the United States on wars and the military ever since we've had a country over here. The only requirements initially to be able to go into the military was to be patriotic and able to load a musket. So how has that changed over the hundreds of years to where women aren't allowed to participate in military activities? Now you got women generals and all different types of officers and enlisted personnel. So that's kind of strange that our current president-elect would even want someone to represent the Department of Defense and have those type of attitudes. Why don't you comment on that too? And then again, one more thing, mental health. They don't say anything about mental health even in the courts. Let alone the providers of the services. The courts, you see mental health people with problems walking up and down the street all the time now without any type of care given to them. And we're supposed to be a compassionate, religious type nation. And with that, I leave it because it hits me home because I had someone to recently deceased and he had no problem, so I don't want to go off into that. But it's a big problem, healthcare, as well as just being truthful in America. So with that, I'm gone.
Well, the answer is simple to me. The answer is sexism. I mean, this is one of the reasons why we have this particular president coming in January, is because many people could not lift themselves out of the system of sexism to realize that it is possible. Not only possible, it would have been better for us if we had been able to vote a woman as president. And so we continue to perpetuate the lies and myths of these systems that are only designed to dominate and to exclude and to oppress and to keep us at war rather than at peace, is because we are complicit in these systems. Going back even to the conversation we were having earlier about women having more health issues just because you get pregnant. Like, we've got to see ourselves.
Not just because you get pregnant.
But that's what you said. You went on and said because you get pregnant, then that means you got more health issues. I don't have more health issues just because I get pregnant. I have a different set of health issues because I get pregnant. And you have a different set of health issues. That don't mean that you got to pay more for me just because I'm a woman. You got to pay more for me because I'm tending my body and I'm going to the doctor.
No.
Yeah, that's true. Y'all don't go to the doctor.
No, I'm not talking about going to the doctor. I'm talking about,
if you don't go to the doctor, then they do not have the statistics and the data that you're using in your research. If you don't have the data, you can't research the data.
okay.
And if you don't go to the doctor, they can't get the data.
I researched the data.
Exactly. You research
research
the data, but the data is not there if people don't come to give you the data.
Okay. But going back to the original, what I was talking about to start with, is Brian Thompson, CEO of United Healthcare Group, being assassinated. Until they catch the perpetrator, until they, if they catch him, or and try to dissect, go through his life, everything about him, to find out exactly what the motive was. There's a lot of speculation.
But regardless, though, even if he killed the person because he was upset, even if he killed the person because the CEO Thompson, because he was denied claim, even if that's the case, how does that affect the system? How does that change the system of healthcare? They're going to indict him. They're going to try him. They may or may not find him guilty. He may or not go to jail. How does that affect the system? The system is still at work all through what's happening in his civil case, all through what's happening with his life. The system is still going to be at work. So these ideas that we have about we're going to kill a person, or we're going to do something to an individual, or we are going to make a case. We're going to make a case out of one person. That does not change the system. We got to fight the system.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a point that we both have been making, is that the system is the issue. The system that has been operated is the issue. The system and the power structure that is working the system, the capitalists that are working the system, all these systems are working against us. So yes, we have to figure out a way to, how do we end these systems? How do we change the systems? And the way it's going to have to change is we have to change. Each one of us individually have to change and wake up and say, hey, this does not work. This is a detriment. This is killing us. This is a more of a detriment than it is in helping. So we have to change it. We have to start thinking differently. We have to start acting differently. We have to start moving differently in order to change this. Because if we don't, we will continue down the same path that we are going. We will continue to have healthcare issues. We will continue to have criminal justice issues. We will continue to have housing issues. We will continue to have climate issues. We will still continue to have work issues. We will continue to have this and have this and have this. So we have to start thinking differently and doing differently. And that's how we are going, that's how we will end this system and create a just and better system.
Yeah, and so Deidre says the system is working perfectly as designed. This system is working perfectly as designed. All the systems are working perfectly as designed. So if you are living in this world and you think that this is just how it is, if you are feeling like this is just the way things are, if you just feel like, oh, this is the norm for us because this is how we've been operating since we became a country, then I'm not sure that you realize that you have power to change, because you don't even see the need to change because you think that this is normal, because that's how we operate. We act like what's happening to us is normal, that this is a normal way of living, and it is not. So something has to happen, some kind of external force has to happen in your life to make you say, to shake you to your core, to make you say, wait a minute, we don't have to live like that. And whatever that force is, that's what we got to figure out.
I agree with that. Hey, thank you for tuning in today to the show. Thank you, Matt, for calling in. Excuse me. Any last words, Denise?
If we are going to live in a world that is more just, more equitable, more peaceful, and more inclusive, we have got to learn how to live and love differently.
Okay. And so tune in. Keep listening to KABF 88.3 FM. We are the voice of the people. Don't forget to tune in on Monday at 4 o'clock for the Down with That show at Me and Leo. Next Tuesday for Community Voices with the Reverend Dr. Denise Donnell and me. And next Thursday for the Workplace with me and Denise. So enjoy the rest of your day and have a great weekend. Peace. See you later.